All right, so welcome to a new semester. Welcome to a new start. As I said before, this is Theology 309, Contemporary Christian Morality. I'm Reverend Father Jacob Straub. I'm the professor. I'll be teaching this for this semester. So we are scheduled to be in here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 8:50. Obviously, there are, with all the COVID concerns and precautions, that we can, if necessary, I do Zoom this class, and actually I record it. There is an online section as well. So if you are concerned about coming into class, if you feel that's going to be a perpetual concern throughout this semester, you are welcome, and I will give you permission to sign in to enroll in the online class. But otherwise, in general, as long as you're not prohibited, you should try to be here in class, present physically here in class. The syllabus is posted up on Canvas. So if you go on the class page in Canvas, go under Class Essentials. The syllabus is posted there. So read up on that if you have questions or whatnot. Certainly, there is also there much of my basic information, where my office is. I'm basically located down the main hall. This on the second floor, office 217. I'm usually available all morning after this class. We can also make a time to meet if you have concerns, if you have issues, if you have questions, or if you have something that you want to talk about concerning class or anything else. I appreciate all visitors. There are 2 required texts, which hopefully you should have. I believe I submitted everything correctly. The first is Introducing Moral Theology by Dr. William Madison. The other one is Called to Love by Carl Anderson. Anything else that is required, I will send to you either here in class, or I will most likely post it on Canvas under the class schedule, under wherever it needs to be read. So what is the purpose of this class? The purpose of this class is looking at issues dealing with morality. Morality concerns the ethical value of our actions, what it is that we do. We are able to decide on a scale far greater than any other creature that we know in this universe, to act and not to act, to do and not to do. So it is that for the entirety of humanity's history, it has been concerned with its actions, with whether what it is doing is right or just or good. Though, of course, those terms must be understood and defined as well. This question or this issue or this subject is not one that is new. It is a very ancient one, nor is it exclusively a Christian question. It has been argued and issued and debated in every kind of circle. So there is nothing new necessarily about this subject. But of course, we look at perhaps some more modern, some more recent understandings and issues in looking at this. But looking at the question of what I am doing and what does it mean? Everything that we do has some sort of value, some sort of purpose. Now, we intend to do it. But it is also concerned ultimately with being that, with meeting that which we want to fulfill the most. Truth. Morality is rooted in truth. we act, or we say that we act, based on what we believe and what we think is true. If we're living out a lie, we have some severe psychoses that we need to deal with. But most of what we believe and deal with and act on, we do because we believe it is true, or it is founded on the principles, the understandings that we believe are true. So that often we sometimes have to evaluate that. We have to evaluate, well, am I actually doing what I believe is true? Am I giving in, or am I living a lie? In the pursuit of truth, we then have to live it out. We then have to carry it out. Now, of course, this is very much true, completely true, in the Christian context, because we believe that we receive truth itself in Jesus Christ, who reveals to us this truth, so that then we can live it out. So in having this class, we pursue how it is to live out the truth. To be honest, more often than not, we talk a lot about principles here at university, right? Talk about highfalutin principles and all that. There are plenty of principles to be understood in morality. But perhaps far more than many of the things that we learn, this has very much a real-world application, because it involves our everyday decisions. Not just the big decisions, like you coming here to university, or you pursuing a job, or trying to find the truth, but even the simple things. Why you got up this morning, why you came here so early in the morning, 8 a.m. on a Monday after you've not been here for 6 weeks. You probably slept in till about noon half the time. Couldn't be me, of course. Each and every action that we make is meant to be founded on what we believe is true, to live it out. So we will first of all, of course, be looking at many of the principles behind morality. Now, of course, the overall context for this class will, of course, be the Christian and especially the very Catholic interpretation and understanding. But much of that also has a root outside of Christianity, in classical antiquity, or in classical pagan cultures, especially Western cultures, such as Greek and Roman cultures. These are not necessarily things that are exclusively or primarily Christian. So looking at things such as virtue versus vice. What does it mean to say what is a virtue or what is a vice? Why is one hailed as something good? Why is the other hailed as something to be avoided or even evil? To then understand some of these virtues and vices. Some of the more classic ones: prudence, temperance, justice, fortitude. And also the Christian ones: faith, hope, love. But seeing how it is all of these are lived out, how all of these are able to be done. It's not just about having the principles, it's about being able to carry them out as well. Again and again, I will be emphasizing that with you. Maybe this will be one of the most important classes. Maybe it'll just be something to get you through. But much of what we talk about in here should have a great impact on your life, no matter your background or beliefs. Yes, we will obviously be talking about this in a Christian and a very Catholic context. Some of these things may be different than you believe, or think. We are welcome to discuss that here. We can discuss that difference. For example, your first assignment due at the end of next week, as you will see on Canvas, is that I want you to write out about your own understanding of morality, where it is you are coming from. What is it you understand, or what is it that you think or believe about morality? Because we need to start with our own understanding before we then can progress to see what it is others say, to see whether it is true or not. The whole point of a university is the pursuit of truth, of every type of truth, not just intellectual truth, but moral truth as well. We can have disagreements, we can have differences of opinion. I'm not here to make you Catholic. I'm not here to make you Christian. I'm here to teach you about what these traditions, these faiths teach about morality. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that separately out of class, but that's on you. Our point in talking about and having this class of morality is because it is an essential aspect of who we are as human beings, and especially as free human beings. That's a topic we'll be looking at a little bit as well. Creatures who are free to act and not act. We can answer and ask these questions, especially within a very social context. We'll be using some of the media that we see around us to be able to evaluate. Looking at what it is that we see, evaluating to say, does those things that are portrayed or are presented to us, do they portray a good morality, a bad morality? Do they portray morality that leads to the truth? In all of these things, to be able to critically evaluate them, and indeed to critically evaluate ourselves. Now, morality is perhaps one of the harder subjects to look at because ultimately it requires perhaps far more deeper introspection. Because morality is where we judge ourselves the most on what we do and on what we don't do, on whether we are living up to our standards or not. I do not want you to feel like in anything that I am teaching that I am making any judgment upon you. As I said before, we can have differences of opinion. We don't believe some of this? Fine. We can be respectful adults and have differences. But being a Christian institution, being especially a Catholic institution, these are some of the principles by which we believe things ought to be. And in some of these things, there is quite a bit of room for differences. As we will see, for example, in talking about justice, the virtue of justice, how we relate between individuals, or looking at the virtue of temperance. There's a lot of latitude. It is not necessarily as black and white or as clear cut as we often want to make it out to be. Especially when we begin to evaluate it with real world principles, real world examples. We have a lot of time to talk about and discuss some of these things, but at times we don't have that time for argument, debate, or process of thought when trying to make a decision. But if we are prepared ahead of time, we are able then to decide and to make those decisions that we need to make. So that'll be a part of what we look at as well. So we will be looking at virtue. We will be looking at the basic principles of morality, beginning to apply them, to look at all of these things, so that then we can go forth and do what we need to do. As far as how this class is divided, you will see on the syllabus the grade scale and grades, and also how the how the assignments are divided up, at least grade-wise. On the Canvas page, you'll see a lot of where the major assignments are assigned. Each week, there will be a participation quiz posted up on Canvas, usually at the end of the week, due by Monday or Tuesday. So there will be those to do. Should not be that long of a quiz, that hard of a quiz. That will basically be your participation grade. There will be a few writing assignments. For example, the first one that I just talked about, writing assignment 1, that should be posted already on Canvas. If you go under the course schedule, for week 1, you should already see it up and ready to go. If not, I'm going to make sure afterwards. Writing about your understanding of morality. There'll be a few others as well. There will be the midterm, of course, which I believe is scheduled for March 3rd. So I put it in there, and I'll remind you when it comes up soon. There's, of course, the final as well at the end of the semester. There will also be a little project on presenting about a virtuous individual. That by the end of the semester, I'm going to ask you to write up about an individual, a real individual, not a fictional one, to be able to demonstrate how it is they live some of these principles that we will be seeing. How it is that they live those out in their lives. And it can be anybody. Politician, you'll obviously need to get my approval for it, but you already be thinking of somebody as we go through all of this. Readings, of course, or videos as well. All of those things that will help us to be able to begin to dive into this issue, to begin to dive into this area. Morality is very much a part of theology. We often perhaps associate it more with maybe philosophy, but especially in Catholic theology, it is very much a part of it because it translates much of what we believe into action. Hence why this is one of our theology classes. We as Christians, we as Catholics are called to live out our faith. And not just in the sense of, going around and just shouting out, I'm Catholic, I'm Christian and all that. No, in the sense of all of the free choices that we can make. All of the actions that we can do. All of it is called to bear witness to that truth that we believe is found in Jesus Christ, ultimately. Hence why morality is very much not just a philosophical question, but is also very much a theological question. Almost every religion you encounter is concerned about morality. In its own way, of course, or with its own rules. Because all of these things are meant to lead us, as we will see, to the one thing that every human wants. Happiness. Every human being wants to be happy. We don't want to be sad. We don't want to be struggling. We don't want to be divided or depressed. We want to be happy. Our hearts are oriented towards happiness, we feel, in some way or the other. Now, of course, we must understand, what is that happiness? What is it that will truly satisfy us in our whole being, our hearts, our minds, our souls, in every aspect? And that's that's the ultimate goal of morality. Not just the living out of truth, but we believe that truth makes us happy. We don't want to be sad. Hope. Right? We want to be happy. So that is what we're aiming for. Everything that we will see is showing us what we believe, especially as Christians and as Catholics, leads us into that happiness. Now, we can ask many of these questions in a very social context. We said before, reflecting on it, especially in our media. Was Thanos right to do the snap? Was all the violence that we've seen, not just in the Capitol last week, or the various protests throughout the summer, were those right? Were those good? Were those actually helpful? What is justice? What does it mean to pursue that? That's an especially major question that seems to be coming up a lot more in our culture. We may not dive into all of it. We may not be able to answer all of it, but we may be able to begin to broach the question, to broach the subject. And this is a kind of as comprehensive as it can be, but it is not the exclusive place for us to study this. More often than not, the study that we will have is the study of experience, what we experience in our own lives, in our own experiences, and exchanging that with others. And that's a part of what I hope to be able to do in this class as well. We have all had different experiences, some better, some worse. But upon reflecting that with each other, that we can grow with each other in understanding these principles and in understanding how to apply it to others. Because though we focus often our morality on our own actions, on what I am doing, it has a major impact on the world around us. So our morality affects others. It affects the world. In a positive way and a negative way, in both ways. This isn't just an issue of justice. It is just a principle of the common experience of humanity, of living together in the human community. No man is an island, right? John Donne famously wrote. Our actions don't just happen to us. They impact everyone else as well. Another reason why it is so important to understand morality, to begin to look at these things. How does what I do affect others? How does what they do affect me? In all of this, being able to discover that happiness that is not just my own individual happiness, but is indeed perhaps the happiness oriented towards all of humanity. Happiness found in the pursuit of truth. And all of that then, understanding that, building upon those principles so that we can then apply it to our lives. It's up to you how much this class impacts or affects you. You're the one who decides, to be here or not. I can force a grade on it, or I can take attendance or whatnot, but I'm trying to treat you all as new adults, being responsible for yourselves. You will get out of this class as much as you put in and want to receive. So I hope that you are willing to share whatever you understand, or your concerns, or your differences, so that we can reach an understanding between each other. No matter what happens at the end, the whole point of this is understanding that. Understanding how it is that we can pursue the truth and discover the happiness that we are meant to have, and to try to receive it as best as possible. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Jokes, puns, riddles, snide remarks, rude gestures? Oh, good, a decent class for once. Read up on the syllabus. Most of it's pretty clean cut, simple, as you've seen with everything else. Read up on that, read up on understanding that. If I need to change it, anything can happen, as we remember from about a year ago. I will post it most likely on Canvas, or I will let you know in some way. I'm not trying to trick you up or trip you up, or I'm trying to be as fair to you as I hope you are fair to me. All of my goal is to push you, but not to beat you down. So if there are issues, if there are questions, if we need to change something, we've had to learn to be quite flexible, not just you all, but especially us as professors, to be quite flexible. So be patient with me if I'm struggling with that. I do the best I can. Obviously, this is my primary job, but also I work at a church, a very small one. I help out in other ways, so sometimes I can get behind. That's gotten a lot better, but be patient with me, as I will do everything I can to be patient with you all as well. If you need any help, I know obviously some of you have already the department, or whatever that's called, has given me some of your accommodation letters or whatnot, and I will do everything I can to work with that and accommodate with that. But if you need help, if you are struggling in any way, please contact me. I promise I am not I am not that mean of a bear as people try to make me out to be. I don't want to fail you. Anyone who's failed my class fails because they don't contact me, or they don't reach out to me. I will do everything I can to pass you. Anything else for today? So we'll have at least one early class for this semester. For Wednesday then, I'd like you to start reading chapter 1 in the Introducing Moral Theology work, so we can begin to dive into this question more deeply of what is morality, what is it about, what does it mean to talk about morality, and to see more clearly what all this entails for us in what we're going to be doing for the rest of the semester. So read up on that. You are welcome to start working or even submit your understanding of morality. That is due at the end of next week, so you do have some time, so don't feel rushed to jump into that. Read up on the syllabus. look through the Canvas page. And then, get ready. Let's get ready to have a good semester. So if nothing else, have a good rest of your day. Take a nap if you need to. It's been really early. And we will see you all bright and early once again on Wednesday. Happy trails.